Now, what made you both decide to start the art of shaking?
We noticed that the format and the method of sharing information so far, I don't want to generalize obviously, but let's take for example, usually the people that sits in the front, they see well. The people that sits in the back, they don't see it at all. They might take pictures, they might take videos, some of them take notes, but then ultimately I always end up the day asking myself what kind of repercussion this session had towards my professional colleagues. So instead we decided to stop doing live masterclasses on stages where you were limited with ingredients, where you were limited with resources, time, space and infrastructure. And we decided to film everything in my bar, in the Sips Drinkery House in Barcelona. Definitely not filming how to make a mojito, how to stir a martini, because you can see thousands of those examples already on YouTube, for example. Instead, we decided to document approximately 8 hours of course in episodes, so people can watch it little by little. They go 1 year time to go through it, so there's all the time necessary for it. And in this episode, we go through 3 main topics. The first, techniques. Not techniques how to make a cocktail, as I said, you can see them on YouTube, but technique how to transform and elaborate ingredient to be used afterwards to make cocktails. And this techniques goes beyond the daily basis techniques. And for example, it's approximately 20 techniques as far as I remember. Then we have a second part of the course, a second topic, which is how to develop and create a cocktail menu, which is not just an example how to make one menu, but basically we share our systematic creativity. It's a system that we have developed here in Sips that allows us to create content constantly about menu, about style, design, texture. Basically is apply the analysis of the journalism, something that you actually are using, but apply and reapply on the same results constantly, and you start to develop exponentially content related and all connected. And with that, you can create hundreds of different menus, hundreds of different ideas for cocktails. The third part of the course, it's kind of linked between the first two, the technique and the menu, which is how to create a cocktail starting from zero, a white canvas, and from there you can create a cocktail. And they're all connected together, these 3 courses. Has been a huge success so far. We receive not just positive feedback, but we have several participants all over the world, even from the most remote part of the world. And this makes you understand how important is the need or the request of real information nowadays amongst our professionals. And in January, we are about to film the new season or the new content, call it as you want. And over there, we'll go through more technique. We'll go through, this is something very important, the psychology of the guest. So how to act and control and make things happen at the bar with the guests. This, I think, will be very useful for a bar, for a restaurant, for a shop that sells any type of things. And also something that I think it's vital for nowadays is how to value yourself, how to calculate your worth when it comes to have a business deal, when it comes to the consultancy, when they call you for an event. This is something that looks like not many people still have it clear in their mind. And if we consider ourselves professionals, we must also be able to value ourselves with professionals and to protect our trade and our market, because ultimately we are in the market, we are part of the market.
I found it interesting that you decided to set it up independently and you haven't taken any brand deals to establish this. Why is that?
The moment you include a brand, you should include all the brands. And if you don't do that, clearly from the outside, looks like that you have specific brand interest to showcase. When it comes to the art of shaking, we mentioned rum, we mentioned gin, we might mention a Jamaican style rum, for example, we might mention a Venezuelan style rum or an Italian aperitivo, but this is just category. And also, to be really honest with you, we could definitely partner up with a brand. We could have the brand paying for it, and the cost will be more will be cheaper or will have a different value. But it's not the case, because ultimately we also want to see who is really committed to take part of it. And being here and waiting for someone else to pay for your stuff, I don't think this is called professional. In my side, and also towards the side of people who really want to learn. Don't wait for someone to feed you with a silver spoon if you want to grow professionally. You need to do it yourself. And you need to invest in yourself. As I invested in myself, Luca invested in himself over the last 15 years, and it's all about that. Also, and you can see from the quality of the product of the after shaking, we didn't film that with the iPhone camera. We've been a proper filming crew. The quality itself is the equivalent of a Netflix documentary, and that thing comes to a cost, and we need to pay it back. But ultimately, quality is quality.
To support the fact of being dependent, it was also related to the fact that we didn't want to dilute the content that we were creating, and there was an opportunity for us to be bold and do whatever we wanted to do. And that, I think, it was the key. I strongly believe that as well, when it comes to content, you need to be true to yourself. We are not here to sponsor a brand. We are here to share and hopefully inspire and educate other bartenders. That is our scope. It's not the scope related to getting money to get paid for it. It's a different thing, which has a long-term achievement. It's creating a community around TAOS and the art of shaking.
Now, there would be a number of bartenders who have been working a decade or so out there who probably think they know it all. What can they learn from your course?
Well, Tiffany, there are two types of bartenders in this planet. Bartender that know it all, as you said, and bartender that still want to learn. And we eventually go towards the second group of this. If you think you know it all, you know it all. You don't need nothing else. But ultimately, the nature of this craft, it's learning. You learn every day. No matter how experienced you are, you will always learn something new. Culturally speaking, technically speaking, flavor-wise. And why? Because you are facing your professional every day amongst people in the bar. You receive so many information. So I would say, I should rephrase that. There are two types of bartenders. The bartenders that want to learn, and the second one are not bartenders.
Nicely said. Now, you talk about thinking outside the bar. What exactly do you mean by that?
Luca, you go for it first.
When we say thinking outside the bar, is that when it comes to the bar, there is already a protocol that we follow and is related to, for example, the bar station that we have, certain ingredients that we already found. Thinking outside the bar, it means digging into a different industry that perhaps it will have like a link related to bartending. And it can be anything. I make this example all the time when we talk to public speaking events. It's related to DIY thing. When you are learning the way how you can create your own thing, with wood, with metal, with concrete, with anything, you start to discover a different part of yourself. And that technicality and manuality that it gets developed, it can be brought behind the bar. And actually, this is one of the examples that I noticed quite a lot into Simone. He's a big fan of whatever is related construction, miniature, and things of this kind. And I see a kind of relation, the passion that he has related to this type of thing, being brought behind the bar with a realization of whatever it is, a liquid idea. And that's what I mean when it comes stepping outside the bar to bring back something from a different industry with a different point of view into the bar in order to get this industry forward.
Yes, I would like to add on. For us, thinking outside the bar means seeing the bar with the eyes that don't belong to the bar, meaning that otherwise you always end up doing the same thing. For example, if you want to create a new cocktail inspired from a classic, perhaps, which is the most natural behavior that any one of us has done and eventually will keep doing, the result will be always a surrogate or a new hybrid from a classic cocktails. Instead, using the systematic creativity, which is the core of the art of shaking course, you can create a cocktail be inspired from art, be inspired from geometry, from nature, be inspired from this systematic creativity that use the analysis to develop new menus and contents. And once you get that, and of course you will get that because the course is the main focus is that, then suddenly you can really make something spectacular and new and unique. And nowadays there is this constant need or even constant frustrations amongst my colleagues to always do something new, create new. Fine. To do that, you need new tools. You cannot win the Formula One Grand Prix in 2022 with the same car of the 1990s. So every year you must renew yourself, technically speaking, culturally speaking, if you want to really progress, professionally speaking, in what you do.
Most professions have professional education that they have to fulfill every year. So that's sort of what you're talking about, isn't it?
Yes. Look, I always encourage my colleague to get better every day of 1%. 1% is nothing. Think about 1% of something is minimum. First of all, it's encouraging because you need to improve very little. 1% is not a big deal, right? But guess what? After 1 year, you improve 300%. That's a lot.
Right.
So suddenly,
Yes,
after
it is a
6
lot.
months, if you get there 1% every day, after 6 months, you are 10 years ahead of anyone else. Small things makes a difference. And that's what the art of shaking is all about.
Now, you've chosen to do this in an online format, and you've talked about the ways that doing it live can be misinterpreted. How effective is teaching online?
Well, with my experience, I can tell you, if it's something live, you see it once, you hear it once, and it's gone. Because you're not going to repeat. After an hour, everyone is gone. But if it's online, you can repeat the same episode even 1,000 times a day until the screen of your device will melt eventually. And you can take pause, you can take notes, you can share it with your colleagues, you can do some testing at the bar, some sampling, and then you can carry on with the next chapter and the next chapter. So it's like reading a book. You can read a book in 1 day and you can read the same book in 1 month. Take your time. The good thing about it that if you keep watching it, every time you will discover something new. Every time will occur a different new things in your mind. Something that it cannot occur, it will never occur on a live event because things are explained only once and they are not repeated. Rome was not built in a day, and don't pretend that in 1 year of experience you can have the same experience of someone that has been working 5 years. So you need to take the time for it. And we want to give the chance to our colleague that wants to join the art of shaking to have the time for it.